Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on Marketing. We have a long-time friend of the podcast, Liz, with us, but we will let her introduce herself in a minute. Today, we are talking about side hustles. I don't know if they're acceptable anymore. I feel like peak COVID, they were the shit, but I don't know if they're acceptable anymore, but they can be amazing. And that is what we're going to talk about today. So Liz, over to you to introduce yourself.
Well, long-time listener, big-time fan. So honored to be here. When you guys reached out to chat, I couldn't have been happier. So glad that we got this organized. I love the way that you approach marketing. I think we have a very similar mindset about stuff. Even kind of just the topic we're going to talk about today. There's so much that we can go over, and I think it's just really worthwhile to think about what makes marketeers outside of the 9 to 5. It doesn't turn off when we leave an office or close a laptop. So I know that from my work working with SMEs on developing email marketing, and one of my projects that keeps me grounded and keeps me really, really happy is my passion project, Flea Market Love Letters, that I do on the side. So I think we're going to have a great chat today.
Wonderful. Excellent. So before we can get into any chats about anything, obviously you have to tell us what your marketing confession is.
Oh, okay. Oh, I wrote this down. Okay. The lay of your life.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Please continue.
line.
Social media caption, jewelry company, meant to be the lady of your life. Left out the D.
But put in the D if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
She was highlighting the D.
By
Or the
leaving it
lack
out.
thereof. It was auto scheduled. It was one of those things, batch content, pre-AI. So it was all good old brain and fingers over here. Batch content. I remember I went up on a Saturday night. I saw it and I fully had myself fired by Monday morning because I was like, there's absolutely no way that this hasn't bankrupted the company, that I have I've probably offended a majority of our demographic. I think the post got 11 likes and one person commented and was like, think there's a typo. Didn't even go viral. But I fully fired myself by Monday morning. And then I went in and had to have I'm really sorry that, I made that mistake. It won't happen again. Talk. And my boss was like, okay.
I don't care.
he was like, there's a lot of other stuff going on. And I was like, thank you for your dispensation. I appreciate that. But yeah, the lay of your life haunts me and is a point of pride.
I love it so much. I love it.
My current marketing cringe confession, because I really want to share this with you because it's along the same theme, is that Rosha and I were doing a live podcast recording not that long ago. And one of the questions that I asked our male guest is, we were talking about how hard marketing is right now. And I just turned to him and went, is there anything else that's hard right now?
Oh, mama.
I will never.
Thank God it was the person that it was, because obviously,
he was fine.
Yeah, he was fine. He moved on quickly.
I don't even when you're you say it and you're like, it's live. I've recorded it. It's on YouTube if you want to see.
You can watch it if you want to.
Blooper reel 2026 blooper reel.
I love it because I like it. It's in the same. Sorry to steal that, Liz, but I was like, it's in the same thing, and I felt the need to confess.
But all confessions welcome. You can say 3 terms and conditions and 1 GDPR consent form for absolution of your what else is hard right now. That's my lapsed religious absolution for you for your marketing confession. Did he have a good answer for what was hard though?
He answered, but I don't remember.
Yeah. That's called dissociation. Yeah.
I don't remember because I was too busy thinking, I can't believe I just fucking said that out loud.
Yep, been there. Lay your life. Fully
life.
Yeah, fully just had myself fired. I walked in and I was like, I understand why you'd let me go. And he was like, there's so much else going on.
You're not even like on the list of things to worry about this week,
Oh no.
Liz. Like,
There was also one time. So working in email marketing, it's all about segmenting. And there was one time, this still makes my stomach hurt, where I realized that I like accidentally excluded like a solid segment from Sends for like 2 years. And I was like, I'm awful at my job. And that's one of those ones that like really makes my stomach hurt. The lay of your life is one where I'm like, lay of your life. But the one that made my stomach hurt was the mess up I made about segmentation. And that was a really big lesson for me in leadership, because my boss at the time was a really interested and invested leader, and that he wanted to like do his best job. And so if I had been in that position, I would have absolutely exploded. But he was just like, okay, how do we, make the most out of this now? Can we re-engage that segment that we haven't been sending to? How can we do it this way? But like as a little baby, I was just kind of like, I'm so sorry. I kind of left out a couple thousand people for the last 2 years. And he was like, okay.
Okay. It's fine. I mean, I'm going to just put it out there that I think salespeople do way worse shit. So I'm like, I think your lack of segment is fine. I feel like, even if the segment had been in there, someone somewhere would have fucked something up that's not marketing related. It's not your fault, Liz.
Oh my God.
My least
Can we do this every day? This is so nice.
Yeah, just a
We're
little
totally here to
daily
validate
confession
any
stand-up.
delusional feelings.
Well,
so let's talk.
we are going to start live streaming soon, so we can absolutely do a daily confession stand-up.
Oh,
so,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Sign me up.
Yes.
Yeah. So I can confess all the weird shit that I say to people that we interview publicly.
It's just make sure that you probably clear with someone in like HR before you run your live streams. Just make sure that you're like,
we are the HRers.
Oh, perfect.
So
yeah. The only people who can fire us are ourselves, so it's fine technically. So right, let's talk about side hustles, ladies. What do we say? Are they good or are they bad? Obviously, I think everybody on this call has got side hustles, have had maybe previous side hustles. But obviously, previously, they were sort of thought about as sometimes, especially if you work in-house, like a bad thing, because it was always sort of seen that you were distracted by other things. So it was something that you used to keep quite secret. And like, I don't want anyone at work to find out I'm doing this thing, because otherwise they'll think that I'm not interested in my job. So yeah, I'm just interested in your guys' thoughts. And then Liz, tell us a bit about your love letters. I got that right? They're love letters, right?
So my project is called Flea Market Love Letters. It's a digital archive of vintage love letters. And I was someone who for a very long time was like Batman, right? It was Batman and Bruce Wayne. Like, this was my hobby project. I talked about it when I had a full-time job. This was the same company I was with when I did Lay of Your Life. And I was like, oh, it's just a thing I'm doing. And then I was really lucky because it was during COVID. The project hit some steam. I was asked to go on to Sky News, and I literally, maybe it was because we were just operating already weirdly work from home or whatever, but I think we had all just reached weird points with boundaries where I remember like DMing my team on Slack and just being like, so I'm going to be on 2 hours late tomorrow. I have to go on Sky and like all this sort of stuff. And it was just regularly this thing where it was like, oh, that's just Liz's thing with mail. And I was really lucky in the sense that like, because it isn't necessarily monetized, I think it's not seen as a threat, but I do think if you are working full-time foreign with someone else and you're trying to build something parallel to it that you intend to leave that position for, you have to be careful because one, you're kind of entering the conversation of I'm just here to get a paycheck while I build my dream. And two, you also...
Isn't everyone though? Like...
You would like to think that that would be more socially acceptable, but weirdly some people really want to show up and focus, which is not my cup of tea.
No, but if they had the chance, that's the thing I often think is that the people who have the biggest issue with people doing this stuff are the ones who just haven't got something going on.
Agreed.
Something going on outside of work for themselves. Like their work is their life. And I'm like, that's your problem, not mine.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I used to take radio interviews in our little like showroom that we had. And I would get texts from the researcher for living in Dublin. I would get texts from the researcher that would be like, "Hi, this is Quiva from News Talk. Can we call you at 11:47?" And I'd be like, "Sure." And then I would just walk around the conference room and be like, "Well, when you think about the history of the handwritten letter, and when I think about it now, like I was in a lucky position because I could have been in a placement that would have been like absolutely not okay. Meanwhile, my company was just kind of like, oh, Liz is using the showroom to go on the radio."
Good for Liz.
Very understanding.
Yeah. It's such a funny point that you, like, I've never thought about the fact that if it's not monetized, like, you go ahead, you have your hobbies, you do your thing. But as soon as, like, there's monetization, it becomes, like, a whole other conversation. Because I'm just thinking about, like, my whole life is a side hustle, but my actual side hustle is my sourdough business. I'd never leave my job for the sourdough business. Like, there's nothing to leave for. Like, it is
we
what it
know
is, and
yet.
it does what it does. Like, you know, like, it, yeah, but like it could be perceived as a weird thing because it is monetized.
I also think it's about the content, right, that you're doing. So, like, I've had many little side hustles throughout the years. Most of them have been to do with writing blogs. Some of the blogs have been spicy. So back in the day when I worked in the charity sector, I had a blog called Too Honest for a Blog. It was like peak, like naughty cringe blogging, you know, but it was like, and I used to, and my face was on it, and it was obvious it was me, and I used to blog about subjects, I suppose, that were a bit taboo
Okay.
at the time, like talking about dating, even back then, like talking about dating and all those sorts of things. And yeah, like someone in my office was like cottoned on to the fact that this blog existed, because, you know, we used to get I used to get traffic to the blog. It was insane. And even then, and yeah, and I used to have, like, you know, a Twitter account attached to it and all sorts of things. And yeah, so the content was a bit spicy, and people were a bit like, not sure this is appropriate for you to be doing while you work. And also a lot of places I've worked have had in my employment contract, like, you're not allowed to have a secondary thing going on if it's financial. But I do think, the financial and then the content of what you do. Like, think about how many people who have set up an OnlyFans and then someone at work
I love
finds
that's
out.
the example you're going to.
Do you know what? More power to you, sex workers.
We're sex positive space here at Blame It On Marketing.
Yeah. Like, who have an OnlyFans and then their employer finds out and they get sacked.
Yeah.
It is, oh, man, it's kind of wild because like it's nothing to do with anything, right? Like,
was none of their business.
If you want to sell pics of whatever, like, it's nothing to do with anything, but also because it's seen as a different income stream, and if you are contracted only to have one job, then it obviously is a breach of contract, but it's also nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, it's not like a competitor, is it?
No. Hopefully not.
Depends what you're doing.
I mean, it depends on what you're doing, but it's a really interesting juxtaposition. So is this how we're going to frame having side hustles then? If you don't want to risk it, just don't monetize it, or at least don't monetize it, obviously. Don't
sell pictures of your toes, because your boss will probably get mad.
Your boss will probably find it because they're weird.
If you think about it, like let's go back to COVID, like the number of people who became influencers by making workplace content, and that is a side hustle.
Yeah.
It's the cleanest model. And a lot of them would get in kind of trouble for, you know, were they filming in the office, sort of that sort of stuff as it was. But you have to think about yourself as more than the position that you're in at that moment. OnlyFans reference there, just kidding. You have to think of yourself as a full, complete character. And so if you're in a position where, you, like Emma was saying, kind of you're starting and ending your day and that's all that you have, there's nothing wrong with that. But you also have to make space for people who need a little bit more texture and outlets. And that's what I think side hustles do, is they give you a space to play. They give you a place to, in marketing, they've given me a place to experiment. They've also given me a sense of ownership in a time when I wasn't working for myself. And now that I am, I owned that space. So I made the decisions about what went up when, I wrote things, I photographed everything, I still do, but it was a real thing of being like, oh, after work ends, I'm the boss here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's a really good point, Liz, because I think a lot what maybe a lot of people don't want to hear, but is probably the truth. And I think we can say this because we work for ourselves, and
Mm.
we've been on both sides, right? Where we've been in house and now we're, working for ourselves. Is I don't think you can expect your day job to give you everything you need as like development. And I don't think employers should expect somebody to dedicate their entire life and their time to you
Mm.
because you
Mm.
work for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Like,
let's be real, you probably are not providing the development
no.
opportunities that the person needs, which is why they're doing this thing maybe in the first place, right? Like,
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, I think and I hope that the conversation around side hustles as a distraction is changing for the positive. But also, let's not paint it all with rose-colored glasses here. But I think if we don't paint with those rose-colored glasses of everybody who does as a side hustle has the best possible intentions and they're so amazing, like people who are working full-time and phoning it in and using the work time to work on the side hustle, that's a no-no for me. Like, you need to differentiate that time and that space, and you can't really ruin the pool party for everybody just because, you have the opportunity. Nobody's really noticing what you're doing at the office, so you're going to sneak in a couple hours of your own thing. No, what we're talking about is the differentiation between having something that you are doing quote unquote professionally, or that is satisfying that aspect of your life, and this is another project, whether it be monetized or a hobby project or something on the side that is for you or for a community. I just have feelings about that because I think that everyone ruined the work from home thing, because everyone, when work from
Yes.
home was everyone was like, I don't even get up until 5 minutes before my next meeting. And then I'm surprised. They're surprised when offices were like, come back in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should.
Agreed.
I don't know. I don't know. This is where I feel like I'm maybe too old fashioned sometimes because I do this thing where I'm like, no, no, no. There is professional Emma, and then there is personal Emma, and nobody who has ever employed me needs to know that I do that shit.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's something that you keep to yourself.
Yes.
Like,
Your friends can know it. Your boss doesn't need to.
they don't need to.
I
They
did.
don't need to know.
No.
I did show up to my morning call with Emma this morning in my bathrobe, on my bed, on my phone.
It was a work call. So unprofessional.
Well,
So
a
unprofessional.
blurred background can go a long way. A blurred background can go a
Can it
long.
blur my face and
Filter.
me? I think that's what was needed.
So what about the good side of this? Obviously, we've talked a bit about the perception, the negative stuff that people
Mhm.
think about this stuff. But what about, like, as a marketer, what are the good things that you have learnt by having
Mm.
a side hustle?
So I was studying my master's in marketing when I really started to put everything I was learning into practice on Flea Market. So I went to a really theory heavy program. It was sort of like just a lot of information in 3-hour spells. And then we were released out into the world, and we were years off from internships. Like, there was no application. So what
Mhm.
I was doing was I would go to a class and it would be about a subject, and then I would turn that on to Flea Market. So I would, you know, look at my website, I would look at blogging, I would look at writing social media captions. And it did two things for me. One, in that it taught me consistency and dedication, because I was really interested in the subject matter, but I was also applying what I would use as a marketeer down the line. And two, it also just gave me somewhere to put all of this perspective energy that when you're in between positions or you're upskilling about something, it gave me somewhere to go, okay, here's a task, I can finish it.
Absolutely. Your side hustle might be very different than what you do for a job, but I feel like when it's marketing, there's always something to apply and learn, not to
Mm.
be the person on LinkedIn to be like, well, I learned about B2B from my wedding. But like, there's always stuff that you will learn and you will enrich your life with, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
it will somehow come out in your professional life, right? Let's say your side hustle was like, I don't know, getting therapy. That's not a side hustle, but you were really interested in therapy and like you started learning about therapy techniques. Like that
Yeah.
shit will come out in real life and you in how you deal with other people, like, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think even if it's not something like that involves having like a website and doing all of those things, I feel like it's always like connected somehow, right?
Yeah.
Marketeers are always
Yeah.
going to be trapped because everything requires marketing. So anything that we come up with, we're going to end up being the CMO of. Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True that. True that.
Yep.
True that.
I'm the CMO of my husband's comic book business, and it is genuinely like he can sell a comic book. We do a lot of markets. We did one at the weekend, and he can sell a comic book. Like you can go up and be like, I really like to read Batman. And he'll be like, oh, this guy drew Batman, but this is a book about like, I don't know, this other character. And I sit there and I'm like, I don't know how any of this works. But then in my situation, I'm like, have you posted that we're here? Have you taken a picture of the table? Have you tagged the people who've organized this market? Have you commented? Like, have you done a poll? Like, I'll do all these things. And we've fallen into the patterns of like, yes, it's a Sunday day out. He gets to sell comics, but I'm still marketing. I'm sitting there and I'm like running through the steps for him about what he needs to do. And that's weirdly a good place for my energy to go.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't
Absolutely.
help it. We can't leave it alone when we see something. We're like, must market
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
How are
whatever
you not
thing
making
is.
content out of this? Let me get it for you.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but like whenever I go to like family occasions, I'm always like the designated photographer or the videographer or whatever it is. I'm like, all right, fine, yeah, sure, I'm here. I'll do
Yeah.
it.
I guess,
This is my job.
if you don't mind that I cut off most of the heads and that half of the photos are
Yeah.
blurry. I also have tangentially on family photos. I, a long time ago, tried to operate on like taking pictures and getting pictures. I don't delete them immediately if I don't like them. So I am a really bad person for taking photos because I will think that you look beautiful because you're in the middle of the deepest laugh and you're having such a happy memory in a moment. But if you're someone who's self-conscious about that, you will loathe me because I'll be like, no, this is the nicest one. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
think
I do know that about myself.
the other thing I think about like what having a side hustle teaches you is like if you do set it up and there is like an element of some sort of businessy element to it, like you don't have to be making money for it to be have a business element to it. That is the stuff that, especially when you're like early on in your career, that you struggle to get access to in your day job, right? Like the nuts and bolts of like setting everything up and like becoming a registered company, all that stuff that you try and do, like whether it's like Router's sourdough business or like my AI thing, like we've gone through a process, I guess, of like knowing exactly what it's like to be in the founder or the CEO's shoes as well as the marketers. So as much as I think it's like good from the point of view is like, oh, I've learned loads of stuff about marketing that I wouldn't have maybe got to practice, like depending on what your day job is, because like I've got free reign. I also I've learned everything I know about business from running a business myself.
Yeah.
No one teaches you that shit.
No. It's really easy to have a business idea. It is incredibly hard to run a business.
Absolutely.
It is so easy to go, oh, I'm going to have, and like, this is the thing about side hustles. And I would also include kind of like volunteer stuff that you're doing on the side too, because oftentimes, again, maybe generalizing for marketeers, we might go into a volunteer position of being like, oh, it would be really great if we were doing this, this, and this. And then maybe you're a little bit like, maybe like, so I'll just do that at the weekend and then we'll just have that to roll out. And then you've got a third side hustle then of a volunteer thing that you're doing as well. But it is just this practical thing of like, it's really easy to have an idea, but in application, you need runway to practice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I am really obsessed with the connection between Flea Market Love Letters and the fact that you now do email, because like coincidence,
Walk
maybe.
it all the way back to the fact that I'm obsessed openly with Ryan Gosling, and my favorite movie was The Notebook, and it took me a solid, like until last year before I was like, that makes so much sense.
It's all
you
connected,
turned
guys.
your fantasy into your job.
Reality. So
it's just communication. It's human stories. And that's what I love.
what is something that you've learned from Flea Market Letters that you use in your daily marketing life that you wouldn't have been able to learn without it?
Okay, so I'll reverse engineer what is a very good question, in that email marketing now is very eye focused. in that it is very, here is my story as a founder. Here is my product. Here is my workshop. Here is me, 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 me. The letters, because you are writing to someone, you're saying, dear Emma, dear Ruta, dear Liz, dear who. How are you doing? What are you doing today? How is that? Da, 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 da. Here's something that happened to me. Do you remember when we shared that memory together? That's missing in digital comms. And I would say that's something that I've tried to bring into my version of digital comms, which is like, nobody actually wants to read what I have to say. They want to read how it applies to them. So switching the I to you has been a big piece of, and continues to be a big piece of what I talk to clients about, which is like, I would love to tell you that somebody cares about your really long blog about glass blowing. But the reality is that instead they want to know, hey, could I do glass blowing?
Yeah.
Is that like, how practical is this? What are the steps to how to do this? And that's the narrative that you take, rather than here's my big long piece, you say, and here are 3 ways you can learn, and you can put yourself into that situation.
That is genius. That is great. I will be thinking about that a lot.
Yeah.
I will be thinking about that a lot.
I've noticed that trend a lot, Liz, because obviously more and more when you are proofreading work from people, a lot of it is generated by ChatGPT, which I'm not going to shit on. It happens. It's fine. Sometimes it's a needs must, right? But then obviously if it comes from our AI overlords, it is very, this is me, this is what the company
This is what I'm doing. Like your prompt is like I focus, isn't it?
And I keep having this same conversation with people where I'm like, the person who's going to read this, well, I mean, they're probably not going to read this, but if they did read it, they already know some of this shit. So why would you keep saying the same shit? And why would you not try and like actually have a conversation with them, or show that you get what the problem is? Or like, why are you, I don't know why it happens, but it's like, it's relentless in the comms that I've read recently. It's just
it has a lot to do with 2 things. 1, vulnerability. People don't want to be perceived as vulnerable, so they project. And 2, I try and live with as much of a gratitude first mindset as possible, because if I did not have people who cared about 3,000 pieces, 700 published pieces of other people's mail, I would just be a lady with 3,000 pieces of other people's mail in my house, which I'm happy with. That's an identity I can wear with pride. But I regularly, like if you look at Flea Market social media, it is not me going, I'm so amazing, I've got 3,000 pieces of mail and here's all this wonderful stuff. It's me being like, thank you for being here. Thank you for reading this. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for opening the emails. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you. Because I'm comfortable in the fact that this exists with me, whether you check it out or not, but I know that it has a life with you. And I thank you for that space. And that has a lot to do with, I think, just my own self-confidence, my own situating in it. And I think what I'm seeing and what I'm calling back to a lot of that I language is what we would have seen, Emma, when you were talking about blogs. Like we would have seen a lot of people who wrote blogs and just expected them to be read.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that happening again in digital comms, I think.
Yeah, it's really weird because it feels so. I got in trouble because of posting something on LinkedIn recently where I was like, it's getting really strange out here. Like I'm seeing some really strange stuff.
Yeah, I think Liz commented on that, I think.
I will do. Your biggest fan.
But I think that the reason we're seeing so much of that stuff that I do feel is very 2008 is because people are struggling with the lack of real human connection and real conversations with people, and that is that's backlash from AI, that's backlash from it's backlash from everything that's going on in the whole world. But I think that's why we're seeing it. So I don't, you know what I mean? As much as I was like, oh, it's fucking weird, what's all this weird shit I keep seeing? I'm also like, I completely understand why people are doing it, because they're like struggling to understand a world that we now live in that is very like me.
I couldn't agree more. The authenticity piece is falling apart because the authenticity piece is not, here's here's me. Here's how we're alike. Here's how your story can influence my story. Here's how we can move this in the same direction. Not here's how I got here.
Yeah.
And I think when we're encouraging people to be more authentic on social media, and I train entrepreneurs. I had a session this morning. I think as marketeers, we are in this world a lot of the time. So we throw around words like authentic and narrative and all this sort of stuff. But like, if it's not someone's comfort zone, they're not going to know how to turn a post about what I learned about my wedding into something that's relatable. To them, they just kind of want to share themselves, but they don't know how to make that bridge. And that's what's missing.
As we've been speaking, I finally realized why an email that Emma and I wrote about 6 years ago did so well.
Okay.
It was subject lined, "Did we hot tub together last week?" And like, it just, the open rate and the response rate was insane. And it was because there was a HR event that was like an overnight thing where our sales guys went to sauna with some of the prospects there. And that was the follow-up. And it was stunning. But it's because it was about, did we do this last week or not?
Yeah.
Like, were you there?
Were you there?
Did we do this? Did it happen?
Actually,
So,
did we
yeah.
actually talk in the sauna? Yeah. Did we do a thing together?
Yeah.
I think also probably some of them were like, oh, fuck. But
I think
I like that that's landing in HR inboxes because, like, you know, like the reactions like, is this going to be a problem?
But that's the style of email that I think, like, I have a newsletter going out to my guys tomorrow. Tomorrow, about how right now it's really, really hard to close a deal. Leads are down, direct sales are down, everybody's feeling the pinch. And we need to be connecting outside of sales. So we need to be, like, particularly I would talk to a lot of D2C brands, product-based brands, sort of founder, maybe working with a partner, but generally one person. And the thing that I kind of want to say about it is that when you start to think that someone should be buying from you or should be booking you, you've switched into the wrong language model. Someone could buy this, someone could book this with you. But when you start to assign the client or customer should, it turns that whole conversation sour. So one of the things I'm trying to talk about this week and talk about more with people is just the idea that, like, you don't have to stop communicating, but you can pull back the sales of it and you can connect authentically. And yeah, the reward is that people come to you because they remember that you sent a picture or you posted a picture of your cat. Yeah, that works. But the reality of it is that you're still showing up consistently, but you're not saying the same messaging over and over again. Somebody who might not have the budget feels awkward constantly receiving.
So if we tiptoe our way back into side hustles, because we've had a lovely conversation about communication and email. And yeah, I will be thinking about this a lot because just if you are somebody that is currently in a marketing job, or maybe someone who wants to get a marketing job and works in a different department, how do you kind of start a side hustle? Like, how do you balance work and life, and how do you not make it weird and awkward, and how do you enjoy it?
Well, Emma, you've done several, so what's your starter advice?
Well, I think you start with stuff you like.
Yeah.
I think generally, right, I get it if you've got a business idea and you want to start a business idea and you hope for that to make money, that's a separate conversation. But if it's something that's a side hustle, that's something you purely love, like, I love it when I meet people who are like, I make crochet pickles and sell them on Etsy. They're like my favorite fucking people. I'm like, you are so infinitely more interesting than anyone I've ever met before. I did meet someone who does that. That's why I bought that.
I love that.
Used that experience. Fantastic.
I need a crochet pickle.
Yes, I was like, we need to get crochet pickles from them. But yeah, like, you start with something you love.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, even if it feels silly, like, you start with that, and then you just tinker around the edges, and you see, you see what it is. But equally, not everything that you love has to be a side hustle as well. So I think it's that balance of, like, if you think there's something in this, as in like what you're doing, Liz, you're fostering connection between people, so it involves other people, I feel like that's your perfect side hustle. Whereas like, I don't know, some of the random shit that I've got up to in the past might not have been the right thing, and that might be why they haven't lasted, because it's not been about like a human to human thing. It's been more about like, this is me shouting into the void.
Oh,
We love doing that. That's a favorite.
The number of times that people will be like, I'm starting a side hustle of drop shipping mugs or things like that. And I'm like, okay, why? And they're like, oh, because I saw this Instagram reel that, you know, I could make 30,000 euro in a month if I do this, da, 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 da. And that's back to the point of like, it's really easy to have a business idea. It's hard to run a business because the ethics of it for me comes into, what am I creating? This is to Emma's point of, am I passionate about what I'm creating, but what am I creating? And am I making a positive impact? So if I'm just creating more ceramic mugs to end up in charity shops, am I really leaving something here for the better? Or am I doing something like with my hands, with craft, with something like that, like that's making someone happy in a way that's less consumptive and pollutant, I think. It's tricky.
Yeah. Sorry, Liz. I relentlessly ask myself, and this is generally in relation to Thesmia, which is my little AI tool, is I relentlessly go to myself, do I still think this is a good idea? And do I still think this has a purpose? And they are the things that make me carry on. Like, ultimately, have I made any money? No. But do I think it's a good idea? Yes. Does it have a purpose? Yes.
I didn't start creating the Write More Letters. I wish I had something around. If I thought better about this, I would. They're behind me. Flea Market Love Letters has a thing called Write More Letters. My husband did the logo of it. I didn't do that until 2021. We started in 2017. That is monetized to the point where when I make enough $50 a year, I donated to a charity for selling the stickers and the t-shirts. It's as a marketeer, it's my point of shame where I'm like, if I really just spent time on this, I could run the world. But it's not that for me. It's something that I just have always said, write more letters. It's how I close my handwritten letters. It's what I do. But the piece as well about kind of, do I think it's a good idea? There are some weeks and months where I don't touch Flea Market, where I'll check in on the Instagram every couple days because I know that's what the beast wants. I'll occasionally I know I send out a newsletter every month. I have made myself do that. But I can tell that I'm happiest when I'm doing it consistently. So much like anything in my daily habits, if I read every day. If I don't read for a couple days, I get grumpy. If I don't go for a walk, even today I didn't go for a walk, I feel stiff. If I don't, it sounds really weird, but if I don't Instagram pictures of stamps, I'm not content.
Yeah. What about you, Ruta?
I have a problem where like I get really obsessed with things for like 3 months and then I never touch them again.
That sounds familiar.
So like I go hard, like financially, time-wise, it's the only thing I think about. It's probably the tism in some sort. So I think it's, in a way, if there is a side hustle that does have an audience or some sort of a response or monetization, it actually makes me want to do it more because I feel like someone is out there interested in it. If it's just me, myself and I, and that's it, I'll lose interest.
That's very well put. I'm the same way. That's why I have to thank the community. That's why I have to thank people who make it acceptable for me to do what I'm doing, because otherwise I would do the girl boss thing where I would just be like, well, this has no KPI, no ROI, it doesn't have a point, but it does. It makes people happy. It makes me happy. And that's enough.
Yeah. That's the purpose of the thing, isn't it? It's like back to those two questions that I'm like constantly asking myself about everything. Is like, does the thing have a purpose, and is it a good idea? And and it's like, well, the purpose of the thing isn't to fulfill me as a human. Like if I want to do that, like I'll sit and watch Drag Race and eat a big bag of crisps. That fulfills me, Emma, as a human being. But like, I'm a very simple person. I feel this exactly the same way about Blame It on Marketing. If it was just me and Ruta talking to ourselves, each other, I love you, but it would be fucking boring. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
after a while, it'll be like we should like the people who just have podcasts where it's just them. I'm like, you're not that interesting. Before we let you go, Liz, we've got time for some very quick marketing gossip. So
Okay.
anything that you either love or hate that's happening in marketing right now?
I don't think so, honey. I am very on board with the downfall of the AI generated poster. I am on board with it. Like the number of times that I'm seeing comments on Instagram of being like, I would have loved to go to this if you had paid an artist to create this poster. And I'm like, yay! I'm not at the place yet where I can like get on board with doing the comments myself, but I'm hearting them. I'm hearting them and I'm like, yes, sister, because I think that there's a time and a place for it. I think particularly for small businesses, if you're strapped, I get it. But I mean, there's definitely, I'm married to a graphic designer. I think there needs to be some conversations had about how ugly the AI posters are, and how maybe we're cresting on the bubble of uninformative and useless designs, and maybe we're going back to what I hope will be human design.
Love that. Excellent
Love that.
gossip.
I'll burn that bridge. I will burn that.
Also, I just love that there is this massive disconnect between what these fucking people are talking about on LinkedIn and sharing and then what happens in the Instagram, TikTok comments. I'm like, you guys have no idea what is going on in the world. You people on LinkedIn, fucking delusional. Anyway.
I have one that I'll tell you off record when next time we meet, that I literally yesterday it happened. It was an AI generated post which was negative about AI, and I engaged with it, and then the person was like, that's not what I meant. And I was like, okay, but here's the points about why the contextless, like just the scroller would think this about it. And that's why I know that I'm getting more comfortable in my own skin, because people pleaser Lizzie would have been like, oh, I misunderstood that. But I was like, no, I need you to understand that this is what it presented as.
Yes. Please learn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Liz, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation. We meandered a little bit, but
As
great
we knew we
stuff.
would. As we knew
As
we
we
would.
knew we would. Exactly. I hope if you are listening to this, you enjoyed this, and we are very excited to see you on the next episode.